you ever wondered how Mike Ness and Johnny Two Bags from Social Distortion get their unique sound? While their overall playing style is not too complicated, there are some tips and tricks that you can use to sound like them right away. In this video, I'll cover the lead and rhythm techniques that the two guitarists use individually and together to get that cohesive trademark Social Distortion sound. I'll show you examples of how they use these techniques in their actual songs, and make sure to stick around to the end where I'll show you how everything ties together. So if that sounds good to you, grab your guitar and let's go. So real quick before we get started, just a word on the equipment that Mike Ness uses these days to get his guitar tone. He frequently uses a 1970s Gibson Les Paul Gold Top style guitar with P90 pickups. Now the guitar I'm using is actually a copy, and I've got a P94 pickup in it. The main difference between the P90 and the P94 is the P94 is just shaped to fit a humbucker slot. As far as amps are concerned, he mostly uses a 1960s Fender Basement amp that's been modified through a Marshall 4x12 cabinet. And you can get close to that sound using a Fender style amp with a Rat distortion pedal, which is what I'll be using today. And he uses very minimal effects. I think the only pedal he really uses is the Klon Centaur, and he uses that mostly for leads to just give it a little bit of push. And so the first technique we're going to talk about today is a technique that Mike Ness uses throughout Social Distortion's music, and that's the use of these double stop leads. And a great example of this is the song Prison Bound, and the lead he plays goes like this. So since the song is in the key of F sharp, Mike Ness is going to play a scale that's in the key of F sharp. And so for this song, he uses the F sharp major scale, and then he's going to use these double stops. So we're going to start off at the 2nd fret, and we're going to play the B and E string with our index finger bridged across the 2nd fret of both strings. And so slowly we're going to play these double stops with a hammer on to the 4th fret, and then back to the 2nd fret. And then continuing, we're going to move up to the 6th fret. And these are double stops all the way through, so. Now we're gonna do another similar phrasing with a hammer on. So slowly again. And then we're just gonna end out on some single notes with a little bit of vibrato at the end. So slowly. And this is a technique that he uses in a ton of songs, and usually at the intro of the song, so there'll be kind of a chord rhythm, and then Mike Ness will come in with like a melodic double stop type lead. And then another technique that Mike Ness really likes to use is the use of these big open chords instead of power chords. So the song Bye Bye Baby is a good example. It goes like this. And through like a bright Fender style amp, these chords really ring and cut through. So the chords are E, G, A. So the song could just as easily be played with power chords. And then the power chords are the same, E, G, A. But it kind of opens it up and gives it this bigger feel with the open chords. So one of the ways that Mike Ness and Johnny Two Bags might play off of each other is one of them would be playing the big power chord version, and the other one might be playing a more subdued power chord version, or just playing the full power chord. And then keeping on with the open chord theme, another thing that Mike Ness likes to do and kind of is more like traditionally based songs is use these open chord phrasings with these kind of accent notes. So in Story of My Life, it opens up with this kind of cleaner toned guitar playing this chord progression that goes like this. And so basically the chord progression here is G, C, D. And so we're going to be using these full chords, and then we're going to be playing these accent notes that are within the G major scale. So after we played the first chord, the G, we're going to do this accent note. So. And basically we're just doing a hammer on from open to 2nd fret on the A string, and then open on the D string. And so those notes are all within the G major scale, but another way to think of it is you have that 2nd fret within the G chord already, right here. And then when we go to the C, we're just going to raise the accent up to another note that's within the C chord, that second fret of the D string this time, and do the same kind of accent. So. And then we're going to go up to the D and do an accent within the G major scale, just going backwards now. So we're going to start off open on the D string this time. So we're going to do a pull off from the second fret of the D string. And then we're going to go to the open note on the A string. And then resolve it back to the G. So slowly. And this is something you can do with a lot of different open chords. There's a lot of these kind of accent notes that you can find within the open chords. So it's something you can kind of experiment around with in your songs, but the specific kind of simple way that Social Distortion uses this technique in that song Story of My Life gives it that very recognizable and unique sound. And another lead technique that Mike Ness likes to do kind of builds on the first technique that we talked about, and that's using a minor scale over a minor chord progression. And so this is that kind of darker Social Distortion sound that they've kind of had from the beginning. So a good example of this is So Far Away. So the chords go like this. So this is a minor chord progression. It's in G sharp. So we're playing 4th fret of the low E string. And it's just a 3-note power chord. Then we're gonna go up to 7th fret. Then we're gonna switch over to A string root chords at the 7th fret, 6th fret, 4th fret. And it just repeats. So we're in the key of G sharp. And so the lead's gonna be played in G sharp. And so the lead that he plays over the beginning goes like this. So breaking that down, we're playing in the G sharp minor scale. So we start off with a double note, but it's not a double stop. It's gonna be index finger bridged across the 4th fret at the B and E. And then we're gonna put our ring finger at the 6th fret of the high E. So it gives it that kind of minor tone. And these notes are both within that minor scale. So we're gonna start with that note. Then we're gonna go to a double stop at the 7th fret of the B and E. And then end at a double stop 4th fret of B and E. So we start off with these double notes that really kind of cut through and sound like Social Distortion, and then he continues on within the minor scale and kind of like a bluesy type feel. So we're going to start off going 6th to 4th of the G, then we're going to slide 6th to 8th of the G, and we're going to keep our ring finger at the 8th fret. Then we're going to pick up that 7th fret of the B string with our middle finger. And then we're going to slide back down with our 8th fret. And then back to home with the 4th fret. And then it repeats. And the lead continues on still in the minor scale, but this first part is a very good example of something Mike Ness likes to play with those double notes and that minor scale over a minor chord progression. And the last technique we'll talk about today is a technique that Mike Ness and Johnny Two Bags use to play together to complement each other's playing. And so another chord type that Social Distortion likes to use is the inverted root power chord. So a good example is Let It Be Me. It's basically 2 chords and starts like this. And so this is an inverted root C sharp power chord. And the main difference is a normal C sharp, you would play with your root finger at the 4th fret of the A string, and then your ring finger bridged across the 6th fret of the D and G, or ring and pinky at the 6th fret of the D and G. And you'll notice the normal version sounds a little brighter, whereas the inverted root, we're gonna add the 4th fret of the low E and play it the same way. and it sounds much darker. So in this song, we go from C sharp to E, just using the inverted root power chords. And so Johnny Two Bags is going to play that version of the rhythm. And then something that Mike Ness likes to do is to play with a capo, usually at the 2nd fret. And so what this allows you to do is play different versions of open chords 2 steps up from where you would normally be able to play them. So Mike Ness is going to play that C sharp power chord, a regular 3-note power chord, the way you normally play it. And then when it moves up to the higher E power chord, instead of having to play it up here, he can play it here in the D form of the chord. So it's a little brighter and it kind of cuts through a little bit better, and it really complements those inverted root power chords. So Mike Ness will play. And this is something they do in a ton of songs, and it really gives it that kind of Social Distortion type vibe. And just a note, if you are going to put a capo on your guitar, make sure to tune your guitar after you put the capo on, because when you put the capo on, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the strings, even more pressure than you're going to usually put when you're pressing your finger down. And so that's going to change the pitch of the strings, and a lot of times just putting a capo on is going to put your guitar out of tune. And so that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope it helped you learn a little bit more what makes Social Distortion's music sound the way that it does. And if you appreciate this content, remember to like and subscribe. And check out my website, ScottO'BrienGuitar.com. I have some lesson series up there. I have a beginner guitar lesson series which takes you from scratch, like never playing guitar before, all the way up to rock and roll proficiency. And then I also have a course that's specific to punk rock style guitar. It's a series of shorter videos which focuses on specific lead and rhythm techniques that you can use to play punk guitar right away. And I'll see you guys next time.